Hey, you all disruptors. We are coming to you live from YouTube with Coaching Conversations with Selena. And my special guest here today is Rich Keller.
Hi,
His
everyone.
one word philosophy on personal branding. We're going to talk about that today and get into it. And you all know how I kick this thing off. We start coaching conversations to allow other coaches to be able to share their products, services, and offerings, and why they're the coach that they are. And so today with Rich, we're going to talk about that one word philosophy. And the way we kick it off is, Rich, how do you show up in the world?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to be here. I like to tell people that I'm a 30-year cancer survivor. I just celebrated my 30th anniversary. And so,
Congratulations.
thank you. And so I show up always with a glass half full attitude, ready to serve,
I
period.
love I
End of
love
story.
that. I love that. I'm taking notes, by the way, too. So
Okay,
I'll see me
great.
put my head down.
That's okay.
I have my pen and paper because I learn things all the time.
That's okay.
Well,
That's okay.
30-year cancer survivor. I wasn't prepared for that, Rich.
Yeah, and I'm married to a 13-year survivor. So we're both very lucky to still be here, and we know it, and we don't take it for granted.
I love this for both of you. My
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you.
Wow, this could go in so many directions.
Take it in whatever
Um,
direction you want.
well, I would love to know more about your cancer journey if you want to share.
Okay. Well, I can share the cancer journey and how it got into what I'm doing now because it really is a parallel. If
Well,
that,
let's do it.
okay. I so 30 years, I was dating my wife at the time when I got sick. And thank God she stayed with me. I had testicular cancer. So, I was pretty shocked at 26 years old. And I always in in the corporate world, I always said there was more for me. I always wanted to do more. I always wanted to impact people.
Yeah.
I loved my job in the corporate world. I worked in consumer packaged goods marketing. I worked at great companies, Nabisco, Kraft Foods, Cadbury. I ate tons of snack food, chocolates. It was great.
Yeah.
And then I ended up at a lingerie company because I wanted to try a different industry. And one day I just quit my career on the spot. I mean, it's a very long story, which I won't get into, but I quit my career because I remembered something that my therapist said to me
Yeah.
that really opened up my eyes. She said to me, go live the life you want to be remembered for. Let me
Awesome.
say that again. Go live the life you want to be remembered for. And I wanted to impact people. And I quit my career and I did not know what I was going to do next. I came home. My wife was like, how's your day? And I said, I quit my career today. And she said, good, go conquer the world now because that's what you've always wanted to do. And I said to her, you're okay with this? She goes, we'll figure it out. I mean, I had two children that are adults at this point. They were going to college. They were in college and one was going. I'd been working for 30 years. So it wasn't like, I was 28 and decided to quit my career. But I sat
So
up in
this
my,
didn't happen, if you don't mind,
yeah.
pardon my interruption. This didn't happen when you found out about the cancer and everything. It was later on in life,
Oh,
and
yeah.
your therapist said that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was about 25 years into my cancer, and I always had this lingering, I wanted more. I wanted more. And when my therapist said, go live the life you wanted to be remembered for, I remember when I quit my job that day, when I went to work. Like I said, I won't get into the story, but the point
Mhm.
was I sat up in this office that I'm now Zooming with you on, and I said, what the hell did I just do? Oh my God. Like when you leave a job and everybody's like, we're so excited for you and the courage to leave and not know what you're going to do next. And, I fed into that. And then the day after I left, I came up here and I go, what am I going to do now? And I called my therapist, I called friends, my financial advisor, I called, colleagues, and they were all said, "You're going to find it. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out." So about 6 weeks after I quit, and I was in this office, One night I went to bed, and I'm married to a gynecologist, a doctor, and I woke her up in the middle of the night and I nudged her because we both never sleep. And I said to her the following. I said, what if I transformed a million lives one word at a time? Okay. And she looked at me and in the middle of the night, and she goes, that's not a bad idea. And honestly, I wanted her to say, that's crazy. It'll never happen. You're going back to work in the corporate world, which I knew I wasn't. And so the reason I said that to her in the story very shortly and succinctly is I remember 2 years before that moment in the middle of the night that my son was applying to college, and I asked him one simple question that actually would change my whole life
Yeah.
in the middle of the night. I asked him to tell me about yourself because he was applying to college and he needed help preparing for his alumni interviews. And I said, great. I said, tell me about yourself. And he couldn't tell me anything. He didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
All he did was tell me things he was doing. I play baseball, I play video games, I have friends. And I said, you don't know who you are? And he goes, they don't teach us that in high school. And I said, and that moment in the middle of the night, I went, wait a minute. I helped Zach discover his one word, which was the process I used in the corporate world for 25 years before I quit. And that process got him to his one word, and that one word got him into his dream college, Cornell. And
Oh.
I went, wait a minute. Personal branding and branding, the only difference is the word personal. And so that moment, I said, what if I helped people discover who they are in one word? So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the philosophy because it's so important that you understand the philosophy, and then it's going to make a lot.
Absolutely.
It's
Hey,
good. Yeah,
we
it's
are
going to
here
make.
for you. Let's do this
Yeah, it's going to
thing.
make a lot of sense. So, you know how personal branding is a buzzword? It's in the world. Everyone's like, personal branding, you need a personal brand. And like, some people are like, I don't know what that is. And I don't want to talk about myself. And I don't want to be conceited with selfies. And, right. But here's the thing, I want to define the brand for you. Branding is simply helping others win. Let me say it again. Branding, the definition of branding is helping others win. We buy brands to solve problems. You go to the supermarket, you buy food, that food is solving a problem that you have. Okay. So all personal branding is taking the definition of branding, helping others win, put personal in front of it, and ask yourself, how do you help others win? Okay. Personal branding is how do you help others win? And that's why I serve. And what I realized is every personal brand, everyone is born with one core value that they give away to the world to help others win. How do you help others
Mhm.
win? You help others win with your one word core value. I'm a catalyst. I disrupt to simplify people's personal brand to one word. And the
Mm.
one word is think of it as a superpower, a magic wand. Your one word is your superpower, and your goal is to put it out in the world in such a way that you do things that align with who you are. And therefore, you're going to be much happier in life. And I
Mm.
want to give an example. I would love to give an example because I think it's
Absolutely.
a hard philosophy. I'm not going to, it takes a while to understand it. When I graduated college, okay, I am a catalyst. I did not understand my one word until I turned 50. Okay, so it took me 50 years to think back to a recruiter telling me I was a catalyst. Okay, the worst place that you would put a catalyst after college in any field in the world, pick a field that you want to put somebody in for a job. The worst place you would put a catalyst is accounting. Okay. And I did accounting for 5 years and I hated it.
Right.
And my mother always said, you're not supposed to love your job. You make money. You wear nice suits. You go to work. Welcome to the world.
Oh
So
my.
if that's what I did until, and that is why I now know that I was in the wrong show.
Right.
Okay. What I did not align with who I am. I'm a catalyst. I disrupt. I need to be in a disruptive game, industry, creativity, innovation. So that's why I tell people if you understand your one word, then you can go out and do things that align with who you are. You are going to be so much more happier because you're serving in a way where you're able to make an impact. And I wasn't able to make an impact in accounting because they don't want catalysts.
They just want it by the book, the numbers. You got to balance
That's
the
right.
expenses and the
That's
liability
right. That's
and
right.
the
There's
assets. Oh yeah, me an
so
account.
so yeah. So when I saw how my son came to life by understanding who he was, and even today as a consultant at Ernst and Young, and he's my son's one word is perseverer. The kid never gives up.
I
And
love,
he's a problem solver in consulting. That's what consultants do. They solve problems and they don't give up until they get the problem solved.
I
And
love
I
it.
saw the power in that. And that's when I decided I was going to go build a branded platform and transform a million lives one word at a time because everybody has a one word. And by the way, Selena, you're born with it. You're born with your one word. And all I help people do is extract that one word, bring it to the top, and then challenge them to go out in the world and do things that align with who they are, their core value.
I
And
love this so freaking much.
I love it. I love
I
that.
love this.
I
Oh
love that you
my
said
God.
that.
So Zach is your son?
Zach is my son. He is a perseverer. And I have a daughter and a wife that both have one words. You have to have one words to be in my family now. As it,
Apparently.
yeah.
I love
And
it.
my
So now
wife,
you got to share. We want to know everybody's name and their one
okay.
word.
My wife is Sharon. She's an OBGYN and she is a cultivator. Okay. Very
Right.
creative.
Because she's
And
dealing with the womb.
oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And I actually should say my wife does OBGYN. She does gynecology because you don't your identity is not in what you do. So you do gynecology and she's a cultivator. I am a cultivator. That's how I coach my clients. My daughter, his name is Samantha, and she is a driver. Okay. And you do not want to be in an alley with my daughter when she wants something. My daughter drives to what she wants, and she's in medical school today. So she drove her way to medical school. And I'm a catalyst and I disrupt the way people think about themselves to simplify their personal brand down to a word. And it works.
So my next question would typically be, what have you had to disrupt in your life? And
Well,
do you have an
I
answer for that?
yes. Oh,
Or
absolutely.
okay,
Yeah. No, absolutely. Listen, I am a disruptor. Like that's what a catalyst is. My whole life, I lost my job 3 times in my career. I had to disrupt my way into what the next thing was going to be for me. I'm a cancer survivor. I had to disrupt my way to better health and move on and live my life. I have 2 children. My wife's a gynecologist. We had to disrupt our lives to figure out how are we going to raise 2 kids, 2 professions. But the way I really disrupted my life, and this is what is so important in that question, people always say to me, I could never quit my job on the spot. I could never do that. If I called you up, Selena, and I told you that I'm going to quit my job in 10 minutes, I'm going into my boss's office. My son's going to college. My daughter's in school. My wife's going to kill me. I'll call you when it's over. I guarantee that you probably would say, is that a good idea? I don't think maybe you should do it. But I did it according to my one word. I had to disrupt and do it at that moment because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be where I am today.
absolutely.
So the real disruption was leaving and starting again from ground zero at age 50. And it's funny, I just spoke to my daughter and she said, I'm really proud of you that you took these lemons and you're making all this lemonade. And I said, yeah, and it's really hard. I mean, I'm growing a brand and I have a lot of lives to transform, but I disrupted my way out of corporate America to do something different because once again, my therapist said, go live the life you want to be remembered for and
Absolutely.
And I want to be remembered for helping people. Not, I love the brands I worked on, but don't talk about Oreo and Chips Ahoy and Godiva at my funeral. Talk about the amount of people that I helped discover who they are in their one word. So,
At a time. I love this so freaking much.
so that's how I live my disruptive days.
I love this. So how long you been in the game? How long
um,
have you been living your life?
I have been doing this for 7 years. It took me 1 year to get it all down, hiring a coach, figuring out my name SCORE, which is an acronym: stand out, conquer obstacles, reach excellence. All it takes is one word to score.
Stand
And
out. Let's make sure we got that.
yeah,
Stand
stand
out,
out,
conquer
conquer
X. Mhm.
obstacles,
Okay.
reach excellence, SCORE. All it takes is one word to score. That's my tagline.
Love that. So, okay, stand out, conquer obstacles, reach. What's
Yep.
the O?
No, the standout is one word.
Yes.
Conquer. Obstacles is the O.
Obstacles is the O. I thought that
Read.
was two words. Okay.
That's okay. Reach and then excellence.
Reach excellence.
So
All right.
all it takes is one word to stand out, conquer obstacles, reach excellence, and score.
Yes, it is. I love this. All it takes is one word. You got me thinking. Now,
And can I
you
also just say one other thing? Because
can say whatever you like here.
I wanted to answer the full question, how long I've been doing this. I have to say, and to anybody that's listening that's an entrepreneur, for the first, I'd say 2 or 3 years, I gave away my program for free because I wasn't confident. I didn't know if it worked. We all have imposter syndrome to some degree. And I will tell you, the moment that my game changed was when I was invited to do a TED Talk. And I have done a TEDx talk in Manhattan Beach, California. And I got invited. And believe it or not, I was freaking out and said no in the beginning because I was like, no, what? There's no way. Like, I don't think this idea is great. Like, I was so not. In my mind, in my inside of my heart, I was like, oh my God, this thing works. But, externally, I was like, oh, I don't know. Well, people laugh at me. This is ridiculous. And I'll never forget when I left that red dot in November of 2022. That was my moment where I was like, get over yourself. I've given it away. It works. I shared my TED talk, which people can go listen to on YouTube. And and now I'm trying to really go out there and solidify my brand platform. But I want everybody to know it doesn't happen overnight. It takes 10 years to become an overnight sensation. Whoever made that up is right. And I just want your listeners to know that you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to have a purpose. Like, I want to impact people's lives. And it took me a while, and it's still building my confidence to go out and really make this happen. And it took a while for me to, quit and then started and then build up my confidence. And then that moment that I was invited and I went through that 6 month process and I did a 15-minute talk, that
Yeah.
was my moment where I said, okay, my wife was like, get over yourself. This thing works. Go out and impact lives, really impact lives.
Love
So,
this so much. Well, one, I'm totally honored that you would show up and be present here on Coaching
oh,
Conversation.
thanks for having me.
Oh, to share this. And oh my gosh, my mind is like blown in some ways. But this is exactly what Coaching Conversations is about, right? Why we coach, why we do the things that we do, right? To be a catalyst, to score, all of those things. So I'm feeling myself getting like teary-eyed and emotional about this.
A lot of people I work with do. I love it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
because it's I like to call it heart work.
Yes. And let
HEART.
Yes,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, um, I learned in my TED talk, and people that listen, you'll hear it. This is a major self-reflection process. When I
Yeah.
take my clients through my program, it's a self-reflection, and you have to be ready to self-reflect because the one thing that people are always amazed about when they're done with me and they watch the TED talk, all you have to do is look within for the win.
Absolutely.
I always like to tell people, and if you're listening, you may want to write this down, and you may also, Selena, want to write this down. Cred-
Absolutely.
Credentials are credibility, not identity. I want to
Mm,
say that again. Credentials are credibility, not identity.
absolutely.
People think that if they don't have a job or they don't have letters after their name or they don't live in certain towns or carry certain brands, that they're not worthy. And the truth is, your one word is within you. You don't ever have to work. You don't ever have to leave your home.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a one word, and your job is to go out and then serve. But if you need a credential, like in other words, my credential as an MBA, as 25 years in branding, that's credibility that he can brand people to one word. Okay, that is not my identity. I'm a
Mhm.
catalyst. I am not my job title. So I try to really, and when people work with me, and I see it with the way you're looking at me too, Selena, like, yeah, you're right. Why as a society do we attach our identity to our jobs? Because that's how we're raised to believe. We're just
Absolutely.
we're raised to,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? So I
So
always tell.
many things that we have to unbelieve.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I tell people, what do you think? And I'll ask you this. I'll put you on the spot,
I
but
love it.
it's not a trick question. What do you think most people say right after their name when someone says, "Tell me about yourself"? What's the next most likely thing they say after their name?
Oh, they talk about what they do.
There you go. And that's my story. And guess what? I lost my job 3 times in my career, and I thought I was worthless and nothing. I had no answer
About it.
because
Especially when, yeah,
right. I was so inextricably tied to my job until I realized the question, "Tell me about yourself," is simply asking you one thing: how do you add value in the world? Tell me how you add value. And so I had to go through this whole hard knocks of figuring out that we are not our job titles. And I try to tell the next generation that I work with, my kids, Gen Z, don't tie your identity to a job because you will hit a wall at some point.
absolutely.
Everybody loses their jobs.
Absolutely.
So
You have
that's the
multiple jobs. You may go to college for one thing and you're not even working in that field. There's a lot that comes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And today, I mean, I work a lot with Gen Z, and I study this, cohort. So many of them have like, I want to say parties, or they have get-togethers where you're not allowed to say what you do. And I'm like,
I
I
love
love that. I love that. You have a conversation at dinner, tell them who you are instead of telling them what you do. And then at the end you could. But there's nothing wrong with people that introduce themselves, "Hi, I'm Rich, I'm a doctor." But the problem is that is not your identity. That's what you do. And eventually you're not going to doctor anymore. Your kids are going to be grown. You're going to go back to work if you're a mom and you stay home for 18 years, which is amazing. You're not worthless. You can go out in the job world and get a job. Know your core value. You probably used your core value on your children when you raised them. Doesn't
Absolutely.
matter.
And so I have a question. Are you typically what other people say you are?
Um, are you typically what other people say you are? The answer is no. You are who you are, okay? But one of the questions in my program, which is the most powerful question I have, is you have to reach out to 5 people and ask them what makes Selena unique. You
Okay.
tell them, you just give them the question, what makes
Okay.
Selena unique? And the whole goal of the one word, I want to explain this to listeners because even if you never work with me, if you just go ask 5 people what makes you unique, the whole goal of the one word is I am looking for the thread. It's 11 questions. I have 5 steps, but I'm looking for the thread, that one word that is threaded throughout your entire story, and it works. And once you get that one word, your job is to go tell people your story in the context of your one word, because you're giving that one word away. So if you tell your story, the thread in the context of that one word, now the audience goes, "Oh, I totally get that you are a catalyst. Well, maybe you can help me discover my one word by disrupting as a catalyst your workbook down to a word." So I always tell people the one word is clarity. It's the thread. Okay. And then it becomes the compass going forward. Because remember, I was an accountant. If I had known now and I went to an accounting interview, I would not be taking that job because the compass would be like, oh no, this does not align with you as a catalyst. So it's clarity and compass. And I got to tell you, as crazy as it sounds, it works.
I love it. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. I've been walking around long enough to know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
definitely.
gosh. Oh my gosh. This is so good. This is so good. Okay. Um, mm, wow. What advice would you give someone struggling to find their one word, and what steps can they take to identify it? And so when you talked about the ask five people,
Yeah. I mean,
then
people that,
tell your story in the
right.
context of that one word. But is that typically that what gets them there? Because to me, that still sounds like what other people think you are.
Well, as I said, people sometimes ask me, can you tell me my one word after talking to me for 5 minutes? And I always say to them, no, I'd have a reality show. I'd speak to the dead, like Teresa Caputo, that woman who does. So what I would say to people is, in my program, all the questions that you basically put together a mini diary, they're all about you. The 10 questions are about you. The 11th question is reaching out to others just to make sure that you're not only talking to yourself
You
more.
already have figured it out by the time you get to the 11th question, and now they're confirming it.
Well, it works both ways. In my program, I have people, the people, my clients, they go through the whole diary and they do the 5 steps and they come up with what they think their one word is. And then I do the exact same thing after I receive their workbook. I don't look at their answer and I do it. Now, obviously, I've been doing this for 6 years, so I have sort of a telepathic way of doing it. But then I compare, and I would say 7 out of 10 times I have a better word. And then I get together with them, and I can guarantee you, I have never had anybody tell me I don't agree with this word. People are usually like, how did you figure this out? And then I take them through the thread. I show them in the workbook how I came up with their one word, their magic, their superpower.
Yeah.
And then I challenge them I work with a lot of kids, young adults that are out of college, lose their first job, don't know who they are. And then I challenge them, go put that word into AI, ChatGPT, and spit out the jobs that you should look for. And people call me and they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that based on this word, there are these industries or types of jobs. And I'm like, now go interview. And sometimes it's a career change. Sometimes it's, oh my God, I've been in the right field, but now I know how to speak or I know how to say, who I am and articulate who I am in a way that makes the employer remember you're giving them your core value. They're giving you a salary. That's why you're a personal brand. They're buying you as a solution. Your solution is your one word matches their job description, and your job is to make sure that happens, and therefore it's a win-win. And you get paid.
This is so interesting. So I put what I believe my one word is
Okay, tell me what you believe.
ChatGPT, and let me see if I woo-wee. Okay. It gave me 10 opportunities.
What word do you think you are, by the way?
Connector.
Okay, I love that. Okay,
I am definitely a connector. But if there's
okay,
a better word than connector, that's probably me too. So
okay.
I'm going to tell you how many of these jobs I've had.
There you go.
So the first one is business development manager. The second one is event planner coordinator. I own my own catering business, so I
There you
plan
go.
a number of events
And you're connecting people together to have a good time, whatever that
always.
event. There you go.
Always.
There you go.
That's what coaching conversations is.
There you go.
I have another business. I'm also a food entrepreneur. I did restaurant management for a number of years, and I started my own business after the catering business. And part of our mission is to create a circle of love.
There you go. And
And we
and
create
that
that
is that the
circle.
power of connection. We're talking about connection there.
Hello. And we create that love circle of love by being a bridge to connect people to random acts of love, resources, and
You just proved my whole
one heart at a
platform.
time.
There you
Yes.
go. You just proved my whole
Yes.
platform.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, sir. Then the next one that it says that I am, since we're on a roll here, well, it says recruiter, talent acquisition specialist. I
Okay.
have hired my own people to work for me in that way, but not specifically connecting them to jobs per se, but knowing what their strengths are and where they would fit well within my own organization. I've
There
done
you
that.
go.
And then the other one, which I have been known for, and my LinkedIn resume probably says, is this says client relationship manager. And it was relationship management.
There you go.
Oh
There
my
you
God.
go. So it makes
Oh
my
my
point.
God.
I also want to share an example for your listeners on how an entrepreneur, if we have some entrepreneurs listening, I want to explain how you can go from being an entrepreneur to building $1 billion business. And I'm going to use one example.
Yeah, we
Okay.
absolutely want to know about that.
Okay, so I always on stage when I speak, I use the brand Apple and I would pick a person from the audience and I say, tell me the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word Apple. Don't even overthink it. And they would usually say computer, phone, technology, expensive. And I'm like, oh, expensive, great. That's not their one word. Neither is computer, technology, iPhone. And then when I share with them the philosophy of a brand gives away its core value to improve the lives of others. I share on the stage the one word core value. And then I say to somebody who owns an iPhone, and they all pretty much raise their hand. And I pick someone from the audience and I say, okay, now tell me about Apple. What do you think Apple is selling you? And I tell me about the brand. And they start talking and I always get them to always, it's hands down. They say, it's so easy. Oh, easy. Well, why'd you say that? And they go, because these products are so simple to use. And I say to them, that's Apple's one word. Apple sells simplicity. And then I say to them, tell me a little bit more about Apple. What do you know about Apple? And they go, oh, yeah, that's Steve Jobs. He was great. He was amazing. And I go, what did Steve wear on every stage? And they always get down to, I think he wore that like turtleneck or black. And I'm like, he wore a black turtleneck, jeans, and New Balance sneakers on every single stage. And he didn't do that because he has no money. He's a billionaire. He's got plenty of clothes in his closet. He did
Yeah.
it. He did it because he was embodying his one word. I believe after studying him, his one word was simplicity. And all he did was take his magic wand and he put it into a phone, a computer, he put it into a music player, 1,000 songs in every pocket. And the point I make is he did two things brilliantly. Number one, he put himself in front of his business. That's what entrepreneurs need to do. You are the brand. They're buying you, Selena. They're not buying your
They tell me.
program. Okay. He put himself in front of his business on every single stage he went on. He didn't bring his team, he went himself. And number two, he embodied through his clothing what he wanted to tell the audience that he sells, and that's simplicity. So you can be an entrepreneur and figure out that one word because that is what you're selling. You are the brand. I am selling disruption. I don't sell my one word. The program disruption, my catalyst magic is inside that workbook. And I do the disrupting and then I get you to a word. Okay. So I want people to understand that no matter whether you're an entrepreneur building a brand or you're somebody who goes to work every day, you don't work at all. You still have a one word. But for entrepreneurs, it's really critical that you figure out that one word because that is what you're selling. And you may not realize it until you discover it and go, oh, I'm not selling a phone. I'm selling simplicity.
I
Big
love it.
difference.
And it's absolutely why I love Apple products
There
because I
you
tell
go.
people all the time. It's so simple. It's
There
just,
you go.
oh my God.
And the thing is, at the end when I'm on stage with people, I go, "Why didn't you tell me simplicity in the beginning?" They said because I didn't think of it that way. Because that's why. Because society conditions us to believe that what you do is who you are, but who you are drives what you do. So
Absolutely.
of course, we're talking Apple with the right away category, technology, phones, computers, because we're conditioned. You're telling me what Apple does, but you're not telling me who Apple is. Their simplicity, one word.
I love, love, love this. Wow. All right, all right. This is so fire.
Ah,
Take a look and see if people are on YouTube. Let me do that because I'm
okay.
so excited. I'm just feeling like it's just you and I that,
That's okay. They
nobody
can come
else
back
came
and
on.
watch.
All right, all right. Okay, I don't see anybody in the chat. Awesome.
They can come back and watch.
Wow, this is so good. And drop your questions if you do come back and you're on the replay. Rich and I will still be around to answer those questions.
You
So,
bet.
Rich, we've talked about the family, but I do love to get personal.
Go right ahead.
Um, and let me just ask you a couple of those questions. One of my favorites is what what resource, book, podcast, what have you, what's been helpful that changed your life?
Wow. That's a really excellent question. Thank you for asking me. I will tell you, hands down, Brene Brown has changed my life. I know that sounds like people go, like they'll give me a little like wince, and I'm like, stop it. Okay.
Uh-huh.
First of all, do you know what her one word is?
Yeah.
What do you think her one word is?
If I'm thinking about Brené Brown,
What is Brene Brown? What is she absolutely, all she talks about is what?
um, I
Do
didn't
you want
really
to,
learn about Brené until later in life. And
do you
I
want a
think
hint? Do you want a hint?
don't tell me because I feel like it's when I think about her, it's probably mm, tell me because I don't think
Begins with a V.
it begins with a V.
Yep. What does she sell? What does she sell to everyone that she talks to?
If it begins with a V, maybe it's vision.
No, that's fair. I respect that answer.
It's not.
Vulnerability.
You know what? You're absolutely right.
Because
Well, so the two words that crossed my mind thinking about her were fear and courageous.
okay, but she teaches you the courage to be vulnerable. So the best book that I read is The Gifts of Imperfection.
Mm,
Okay. Once again, The Gifts of Imperfection. And that book is all about worthiness and you are enough.
yeah,
And if you have courage, compassion, and connection, you win the game.
I love
And, and as crazy as it sounds, I really do mean this. Like she has helped me become more vulnerable and get over myself. And I think when you become vulnerable, you connect with people.
yeah.
People don't want perfection anymore. The days of like filters on Instagram, like are over. Like people want to know your cellulite. They want to know everything you have. Okay.
And
And
when we started, that's why I told you I go live. I
yeah, yeah,
edit the video. I don't do any of that.
yeah. No, I
I
think
want people to feel they don't need to be perfect for everything. That's
that's
what
exactly right.
stops us in so many ways, thinking it's got to be this and that. I show up in my pajamas some days, my hair be
Yeah.
my hair. The only thing that I have not done right now, I'm wearing um I have what they call a flipper. I'm getting implants. And
Oh,
so
wow.
no front teeth. Three of my
Okay.
teeth are
All
missing. That's
right.
the only
I
thing
love
I
that.
haven't had the courage to do.
Okay. Okay.
But
No,
yeah,
yeah, and I think that if for people that don't know her, they go watch her two TED Talks and you'll be blown away, blown away. And I see it with my own children, like being vulnerable with your kids. Like, I'm not perfect. I quit my career. They have watched me resurrect from the bottom up, and it has helped them be more resilient and not give up. And it's incredible.
I
So
love this.
yeah, so I would say Brene Brown, her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, but anything Brene Brown is going to wow you. And the second thing I would say from a podcast perspective, I love Guy Raz, How I Built This. Guy, Guy, and his last name is Raz, R-A-Z. And he has a podcast called How I Built This. And he speaks to entrepreneurs, the most successful entrepreneurs and how they started their business. And it's incredible. It is mind-blowingly inspiring, empowering, and I need that as I'm trying to build my branded platform. So those are
Yes.
the two that I would recommend,
I love
highly,
this.
highly recommend.
I'm
Yes.
familiar with his podcast. My brother used to listen to him. I think he used to be on NPR.
That's right. And I will
Uh-huh.
tell you, especially women that are listening, go watch the Sarah Blakely Spanx episode, and you'll see how that woman took pantyhose and cut the legs and made $1 billion business. And for people that naysayed and said that she, can never be done, she did it.
Wow.
And let me tell you, Spanx, you're not buying underwear, you're buying confidence. They sell you confidence. That's their one word, and it came from her. And you pay 80 bucks. I wear a Spanx shirt on stage. I'm a skinny guy because when you suck it in and lift it up, my pecs feel a little bit bigger and I'm confident and I can rock the world.
I
So
love that.
yeah, go listen to
And
this.
talk about vulnerability, dude.
Yeah, yeah, and I show my Spanx shirt because you know what happens when I'm on the stage and I bring up that brand, you could see already people are cringing. Oh my God, don't pick me because people think it's like it's a weight loss thing. No, it's a confidence thing. Everybody just needs a little nip, a little tuck, a little and you're in. And I went and so when I show my Spanx shirt,
Yeah.
you could see the guys going, oh, and then I will sometimes pick a guy. I will never pick a woman that doesn't want to be picked. But it's funny because at the end, when they come up to me after I'm done, they're like, I didn't want to be picked, but my God, that makes so much sense. You're right. I wear Spanx because I want to be a little bit more confident. That's the point. That's the point of the one word.
Um,
Every brand sells one word. And in this case, Spanx came from Sarah Blakely, but you as an entrepreneur listening, figure out that one word and put it into your brand, your
yeah,
business venture and make it a brand.
I love this, Rich. You are so rich. Oh my God. Okay. So this is really good. I got two more questions, maybe.
Okay,
Okay.
go for it.
One piece of advice that you would give to your younger self regarding personal branding and self-discovery.
Yeah, I would probably hands down say look within for the win. Stop, stop, um, stop the external validation and seeking validation from outside forces, whether it's credentials, people. Look within for the win. Your one word is in your body, you're born with it. And when I extract it, people cry on my Zooms, and
Oh, wow.
I've had grown men cry, and I always say, tell me more. Like they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm like, no, 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 tell me more. And they go, I can't believe that I had to look within myself. It's almost like I tell people you meet yourself for the first time, and let me tell you, you meet yourself for the first time because
Absolutely.
a lot of us put masks on and we don't want to confront who we are. Now, let me tell you, I'm a catalyst. That's not everybody loves catalysts. But let me tell you, I'm a nice catalyst. I come and I get to know you before I drop the bomb. And that's the whole point. Like five people can have the same one word, but everybody's going to come at it differently because who you are brings it to life. So I
Absolutely.
tell people, look within for the win. Stop looking outside. You don't need to. Once you figure out who you are, if you need a credential to support what you're doing, go for it. But that credential is not your identity.
It
Who
is.
you are is your one word.
I love this so much every time you say it. And I feel any journey that people go on. So two things with what you said. One is switching gears a minute. One is so many people are afraid to go within because so much in society has taught us about external things.
You bet.
Someone else is going to come along and make you happy and all of those things. But you really have everything you need. It's all within. It's all within. And so
Million percent.
many folks are so scared to go in there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that in itself. So I agree wholeheartedly with you. My program starts with your journey begins with it because
Yeah.
you're going
Yeah.
on a journey, right? Life is a journey.
You
Uh,
got it.
so it can't be any other way for you all out there listening. You got to be honest with yourself. You're stuck with yourself for your
Oh,
so
isn't that the truth? And
absolutely.
I also tell people, um, one of my questions in my program is, what did you want to be as a kid when you grew up? And I believe doesn't always happen, but 9 out of 10 times it does. There's a correlation between what you wanted to be and your one word.
Mm.
Okay, because you're born with it. And if you think about it, once society gets a hold of you at like 8, 9, 10, 11, they start changing who you are is what you do,
Absolutely.
what you do, what you do. But before
Absolutely.
that, but
Weighing
before
it
that,
out.
right. But before that, I mean, I have people when they were a kid, they were in arts and crafts, so they tell me things in the diary, and I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. And they're like, oh, I never thought of that. I say, well, that's because you're born, in my philosophy, you're born with your one word, and I'm bringing it up. You give me the ingredients, I give you a cake.
So I keep hearing you mention the diary. So the diary is a workbook. Tell us more about
Yes. Yes, it's a workbook, 11 questions, 5 steps. And I give them the time to, and one of the questions, the 11th one, is the 5 people. And then there's a whole series of circling words, pulling out the best words from your book, grouping the words, giving the group a name, and everyone creates a sentence about themselves that begins with I am. So you get a sentence and you get a word. And the whole point of that is you have 7 seconds to make a first impression in the elevator. Hi, I'm Selena. I'm a catalyst, let's say. And then they're like, oh, tell me more. Let's go have coffee. I'll give you my sentence. And the sentence is I am, begins with I am. And through the diary, you write your own sentence. I also write one. Sometimes I like mine better, but it depends. And yeah, that's so it's a fun process. And you know what I have a lot of people say to me? I was scared to do it because once again, it's a self-reflection, but wow, I really learned about myself. Yeah, that's the whole point. Nobody reads this except me and you, the client, and so well, it's amazing too. I have a couple of vulnerable questions in there, and people are so nicely honest with me, which is wonderful. And I acknowledge that. I'm like, I acknowledge what you shared, and I appreciate you, and it helped me. And then they're like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So most people actually come through the vulnerability. In the beginning they may not want to, but they do because the diary just makes them speak. They just write and talk to me,
I
so
love
it's
that.
great.
I'm not sure it's the diary. I think it's the coach.
Right.
I think it's the
I
catalyst.
appreciate that. I appreciate
Love
that.
that. And so tell me one thing that people might be surprised to know about you.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, yeah. If you ask my kids that, maybe different. Well, I'll I I'll say that I ran the New York City Marathon in 2003, having training for a year because I never ran a day in my life. Quick story, when I had cancer in 1996, I had a dream, a recurring dream, that I was crossing the finish line of the New York City Marathon. I was not athletic. I did not work out at that time, like and in 2002, a friend of mine was running at work, and I just made the comment, you know what? I would love to run the marathon. Maybe someday I'll do it. And I remember the group of people laughed in my face. They were like, You don't even know how to run to the store. I was like, that was the worst thing you can say to me. And
Right.
I literally the next day, I didn't even have running shoes. I started 1 year before and I went out and I did, like, I don't know. I ran 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I don't think I could do this. But then I went 10 and then I went 15 and then I went 20. And one thing about me, you tell me I can't do something, game on.
I know that's
And 1 year later, in 2003, the person who ran the New York City Marathon, my friend Kathy, met me at mile 18 and finished the race with me. And I finished that race in 5:29:50. You get into the New York Times at 5.5, and I made it by 10 seconds into the New York Times. But I want to tell you, the reason I'm telling you this is because I think the recurring dream was I I I'm alive. Like, I didn't die from my cancer. And I wanted to, I guess I proved to myself that you can do hard things. And it was the most incredible. I mean, the training was horrendous, but it was one of the most incredible days of my life. And I never, to this day, I never forget it. And every year I pull out my medal every year since 2003. And I run around my living room and home, and yeah, and I did it. And so I think that's what some people are surprised when they're like, you ran the marathon. I'm like, yeah, 26.2.
well, right now you look like you would have run the marathon. You got that I get in it look right
They,
now,
they, well, now that I have a trainer in my 50s, yes, I probably, and I would, and I would love to do it again. I really would, and this time raise money. And so maybe someday that'll happen. My kids both run, but yeah, it was amazing. And I'm still like, I'm looking up in the air going, what a day of euphoria that was.
I
But
love that for you.
that's what I think people would know about me.
I love that. I love that. I bet you've done a lot more courageous things too,
Um,
lifetime.
I have, but one of my biggest fears is flying, and I still don't like to fly to this day. And no matter what happens, therapy, whatever, voodoo, it's never going to cure me. I can't stand being inside a plane. So as courageous as I may look, I have a major fear of flying. But I do get
Oh,
on the plane. I go.
well, we call that courage over confidence. That's good.
Well, and the problem is I'm afraid I don't want to die too soon, even though I can die in a car, which I know is crazy, but I just equate planes for some reason, and I don't want to die. I want to be here till I'm 100 like Betty White.
I know.
My goal's 100.
You've been living out loud. I love this
Yeah,
for you.
my goal's 100. Betty White. Let's go. 100.
I'm sure you're going to make it. I'm sure you're going to make it.
Thank
Well, this
God.
has been so delicious.
It
I
has been one of the best conversations I've ever had. You have been absolutely wonderful. I probably can do a marathon all night, which we're not going to do, but I just wanted you to know thank you for having me and being able to communicate this crazy platform.
I love, 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 love this so much. And I never know what to expect. I never like check in early and see who's doing what and what they're talking about. As long as you're a coach, we're getting into it. So I'm always pleasantly surprised. And this has just been a lovely, beautiful surprise. So before we get out of here, I got two more questions for you.
Okay.
One is tell the lovely people where they can find you and
You
any other
bet.
information you'd love to share.
You bet. You can go to therichkeller.com. They didn't have richkeller.com, so I had to buy therichkeller.com.
But you
You
are the Rich Keller.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Rich Keller, the Catalyst, and I will come up. And you can also watch my TEDx talk. Please watch it. And you can find it at therichkeller.com/TEDx. And I'm telling you, after you watch it, you're going to leave my TED Talk wondering what your one word is. And then you can DM me and we can talk.
What's the name of your TEDx?
um,
Can they search for it? Or
yes, well, you could also type Rich Keller TEDx, but the
okay.
title is Your One Word Tells People Who You Are, Not What You Do. I'll say that
Uh,
again. Your one word tells people who you are, not what you do. And you could just type Rich Keller TEDx and it'll come up. And you'll leave there wondering, what is my one word? And
I
I
know.
love that. I love that, by the way, when I'm at parties and like people think, what can you tell me? I'm like, no, I can't tell you at the party.
What's your elevator? So I got one more question to add to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What's your elevator pitch when you meet people? What do you say?
I say a Rich Keller the catalyst, and I disrupt the way people think about themselves, so I can help them simplify their personal brands down to one word.
Okay. All
I
right.
always say, by the way, I'm Rich Keller, the Catalyst. That is how I sign off. It's important to create that identity around who I am. Okay, and I always tell people like, tell people your one word. Put it on LinkedIn. Tell me about yourself. I am astute. I am altruistic. I am an innovator. Like you
Yeah.
tell people because it stops them, and they're like, oh, tell me more. Versus, hi, I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. And yeah, like there's 75 million of them. Give people, steal the show, raise attention, open the eyes for people. Like, what did you say? And it works. And
Love it. Oh man.
yeah.
So all those folks that are listening, they're gonna eat this up. Hopefully your numbers go up and
Aw,
knocking at your
thank you.
door. You
Thank,
all to find out the rest of this program and get that one word. Awesome, awesome. Well, this is good. So I have one last question for you.
please do.
Do you have any questions for me?
Do I have any questions for you? I'd love to just ask you, is this what you expected before you turned the Zoom on this evening? Did you expect to have this, I guess, fruitful of a conversation?
Um, I really don't go into the conversations with expectation.
Okay.
Up to be surprised.
Okay. Well, were you surprised?
I'm very surprised.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. Not, I wouldn't say surprised. I'm excited. It excited me.
I'm so happy to hear that. I really am.
Yes.
I
Yes.
really am.
It really excited me. And you kept me on the edge of my seat. I could have just let you just talk. I
Okay.
I don't feel like I did much here today.
That's okay. That means that you were an excellent host because I just shared. Hopefully, your listeners got something out of it and they think about, wow, that is a unique way. Honestly, I'm here to just impact lives. As you know, I'm getting up there in age and I'm a survivor of cancer and I just want to help people before I go. That is literally all that I'm about. That's it. I want to help people. We should all want to help people.
Absolutely.
And as my therapist and my wife says, and you deserve to get paid for it. Yes, I do. And I'm starting to understand that now. But at the end of the day, I care more about people finding out who they are and then going to put it out in the world and just feel great about yourself. Like you have value. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what jobs, titles, brands, where you live. Go out in the world and put your core value out there and find a place to put it that people will respect and appreciate you. And
So
that's me.
I love that. I love this for you. I love this. And you say you're getting up there, but you look pretty young to me.
Well, I'm 57, but I feel young. I feel 29.
Seven?
I feel 29. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm deaf, but I try to take care of myself, which is what we have to do at this age in order to be Betty White. Betty
Absolutely.
White, 100, Betty
I,
White.
yay, you're halfway there with your glass half full.
You
So
got it. You
that's
got
so
it.
interesting. How old do you think I am now?
How old do I think you are? Oh my God, I would say 50,
No,
55. How old are you?
I'm 57.
Oh, you're my age. Okay, great. You look fantastic. Okay.
Bless you. It's like, what?
All right. 10 years. We're about 10 years younger than our biological age, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll take it.
Listen,
Bring
just be
every
happy,
other-
smile, open your eyes. Honestly, like feel how you feel is how you live. And I feel like I can conquer the world and I want to. So,
I
why?
feel like life is really just getting started. There was a lot of figuring life out, and now it's like you said, what your therapist said, go
Go
be
live the life you want to be remembered for. And I got to tell you, Selena, the 50s are the best decade so far. Best. I tell people all the time, like, not that I don't give a shit about what happens, but like, you really know who you are. You stand in your truth. You don't have a lot of time left. So you better wake up and like just go make things happen. So, best decade. I totally agree. And it's the hardest decade. I'm working like really hard on myself. I'm working hard on my platform, but watch out, people.
that's right. Watch
I'm
out
here.
for the catalyst. I
You bet.
love
You
this.
bet.
Well,
I
you know,
really thank you so much for having me once again. I really do very much appreciate this.
I love it. I love it. You all, we will also be dropping all of Rich's information and vitals that he shared with us. Renee Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection, her book, as well as the How I Built
Built
This
this. Yep. Podcast.
podcast. This is so rich. I think we've got everything else in there. You got anything coming up that you want people to know about? Where are you going to be?
Um, do I have anything coming up? Well, I have a podcast that people can go listen to if they want.
Oh,
It's called The Catalyst Effect. And I used to interview my clients for their one word. And I also have many brands that I've done the one word on, anywhere from American Idol to Google to Klondike, M&Ms. But what I do now is I interview people that have been through what I would say a tragic event, and they are not letting that event define them, the catalyst effect, the catalyst moment of when they decided they were not going to let that event rule their life. And I spoke to people, I've spoken to a woman whose son died by suicide. I spoke to an ALS person who has ALS, which is a terminal disease. I've spoken to someone who lost his son to fentanyl. I just interviewed a guy who lost his sister to cancer. Like, it's very inspiring. And I do it now because I want to be reminded of how lucky I am to be alive. And it makes me really walk away from these interviews so just grateful to be here. So I recommend people go listen if they need a little pick me up, or they're down on their day and they don't need to be. Go listen to some of these people and watch what they're doing, and it'll really blow you away.
I love that. Where did they find your podcast?
On therichkeller.com/podcast. It's all on that homepage.
All on the homepage. Wow.
All on the
And
homepage.
when do your episodes air?
You know what? I right now I do, it's all about quality over quantity. It depends upon who I see next. And I scroll TikTok, Instagram, and I try to find stories. But for me, it's more about the quality of the interview because I really take time to, that's another thing. The difference between you said turning on the camera, which I love. I want to respect the people that I'm interviewing because they've been through an event, and so I try to study them, and at the end they always thank me, and I owe it to them. I owe it to them. If they're going to come on my show and they're going to speak vulnerably and what they're doing as a result, I want to make sure that I respect what they're saying and prepare. So it takes me a little bit of time.
No, nothing wrong with that. Nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with
Absolutely.
that. What's
Especially people that have lost kids, and like, it's very sensitive subject. So I try very hard to make them welcomed and safe and let them know that I know what's going on. So
so? And if I could recap what I heard, then so you find the guests. The guests don't
yes.
necessarily come.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would definitely take any guest that came to me with a story, but I try to go out and find my guests, and yeah, that's how it is now.
I
Yes,
I love that. All right then. Well, if you all have stories that you want Rich to know about out
that's
there,
right.
you could help him out and
How
point.
you how you have overcome what has happened to you. I want to talk to you.
Absolutely. I think we should talk. I probably should share my story.
Okay, no problem. We could do that. Well, we're friends now. We're gonna keep in touch. So
Yes, we are. Well, good people, our disruptors out there. Thank you for tuning in and listening. We are going to sign off. But Rich, you're going to hang on with me.
you bet.
And
Thank you for having me.
absolutely so glad that you were here. We'll be back again on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And take care of yourselves out there. You know that I love you. Until next time.